Here at the Legends of Poker.
Can Wah over on the side, wishing he could just disappear. Went all in with the pair of fives. Do you like his play, Mike?
Well, you know, I don't really fault the play. When you're on a short stack, you got to make a move with something, but you want to do it where you still got some chips to put your opponent to the test.
So just an unfortunate thing that both had wired pairs.
Just unfortunate, and he had to call with 2H. That's not so easy either. You got to give Mark credit for taking a gamble to call 2H there also.
We are down to the last four at the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California, and with the World Poker Tour. We'll be right back.
My trap worked. He's only got 4 outs. This guy's going home.
Come on, 9.
Sometimes making the right move isn't enough, but there's always another hand. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Welcome back to the World Poker Tour. We're at the Bicycle Casino for the Legends of Poker, and we're already down to 4 players. Can Hua and Kathy Liebert, Mike Sexton's pick to win this tournament, have already been eliminated. Let's get back to the game.
Here we go, down to our final 4. Han Lee will be the first to speak here. Action's been fast and furious so far.
Well, we're playing no-limit poker, and you can bust out in one hand. You've seen it now twice here.
Han folds and Chris folds. And Stan, who's on a short stack here.
He doesn't have a whole lot of money, but he's got a hand. He's got ace-queen there, Mike.
Look at Mark looking at him.
I'm all in.
He says, I'm all in.
All in for the man with ace-queen.
I call.
He points, I call. He looks down at 2 tens.
He quickly calls with his tens. He loves his tens.
We have the race situation. This is ace-queen versus 2 tens. The tens are just a slight favorite to win. It's a virtual coin flip. Let's see if Stan Goldstein can get lucky and stay alive in this tournament.
Now on the flop, the tens are still holding up. They're way out in front. Stan Goldstein has a problem here. He needs a miracle card.
He's got to catch an ace or a queen or he's out. Oh, he's done it. Look at this. Oh, the pain of Mark Safe. Look at that.
He's caught that miracle. Now he's crossing his fingers because he could still get outdrawn with a 10.
It's true.
And it's not going to be.
Stan Goldstein is a safe cracker on that hand. He has doubled up.
Now that's rough on Mark because Mark Safe won the other hand with a pair of 8s. It held up for him. This time he has 10s. He thinks it's going to hold up. He thinks, hey, I'm going to be a champion today. I just got that feeling. And then boom, one card comes down, that ace. You're outdrawn. It's back to 9-5.
That was a hand that just sort of played itself. They're both in the blinds. Stan absolutely has to move in on the short stack, and Mark absolutely has an obligated call with the 2 tens and the big blind. They both played correctly. It was a coin flip. Last time it went one way, this time it went the other way, and that's what's supposed to happen on a coin flip.
I'm comfortable with the situation. The antes and the blinds are really high for the amount of chips I have, so I'm pretty much going to have to win the first hand I play. But if I can do that, if I can double up, I feel I got as good a chance as anybody there.
Okay, let's get back to the action. Now here's Chris, who hadn't played a pot since the first deal. And look at this, he's raising in first position with the 5-3 of diamonds. Now for a pretty conservative player, this is a bold play on his part. He's just getting tired of watching everybody else play and him sitting back.
It's 4-handed, and Han Lee has a king 10, not the worst hand. He's really studying it, thinking about it.
Raising Han Lee's big blind is not normally a ticket to success, because usually he likes to defend, but he knows Chris is a conservative player. He raised in first position, which means you normally have a stronger hand, which is why I find it pretty unique that Chris is raised with 5-3 of diamonds. I sort of like this play.
Well, this goes to show what a tough player Chris is. He's mixing up his game nicely with not the greatest hand, just kind of a semi-bluff. Let's see if it works.
It's a total bluff.
Han Lee's thinking about.
Look at Han Lee. See, he doesn't want to give this hand up.
No, he doesn't, does he?
But he knows it's a chip leader he'd be clashing with.
Look at Chris kind of twitching a little bit there. A little nervous. He doesn't want to be called here.
Chris has brought it in for $24,000, so he's raised to $20,000. So it's going to cost Han Lee $20,000. Now Han Lee only has $100,000. So to put 20% of your stack in with a king-10 offsuit when a guy raises in first position, it's not so easy.
Now, the interesting thing about this is that this shows you that in tournament conditions, when you're down to 4 players, you can't wait for just aces or kings. You got to play with just about anything. And that's what makes a great player, knowing that. And he's going to throw the hand away and let Chris take it.
Now, had he moved over the top of Chris there for all his money, Chris would have thrown the 5-3 away, and Han Lee would have won the pot.
Right, lots of psychology here we're watching.
But what happens is many, many times, the first guy to bet the pot, the first guy to raise the pot, is the guy who wins the pot.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, it's scary. You don't know what the guy has. You can lose all your money, and you can be so far beat at that point. So it's always very scary when you have to call a pretty big bet or a raise.
Well, I'm going to play my best and try to trap people if I can. First 15 minutes, I'll see what happens.
Okay, the action is going to be on Chris.
Chris folds.
He folds. Stan folds.
Beauty. Mark calls the 2,000.
Now Mark just
from
calls in the
blind.
small blind. It's the first time we've seen that today. It'll be interesting to see what Han Lee's going to do. Now Han Lee's got a king-jack here.
20,000 raise.
And he's
Han Lee
going to
raises.
raise it. And as soon as he says raise, Mark folds his hand. He didn't even wait to see how much he's raising. Now that was pretty interesting.
And Mark safe has
Actually,
the
that's
button
giving a
now.
little bit of information to your opponent there. I think Mark acted a little bit too hastily there. Because now, from now on, Han Lee can just say raise and just see if the guy's going to wing his cards in.
Okay, I was going to tell you, Mike, Han Lee was my pick from the beginning, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, dude.
You know how I like to pick the players. I take a look at the players, and I see who looks the luckiest, and then I go with them. Well, the guys walked out here. They all walked out, and they all look very tight, except for Han Lee. He raised his arms over his head. He looked very excited. He was laughing. He was loose. He's going to win. He looks lucky. That's my pick for today.
Well, I got to say, Vince, it's just like you to take a shine to a guy whose nickname is Kamikaze. But last week, you picked the winner of the 5-Diamond Poker Classic at Bellagio, Gus Hansen.
That's right.
This week you're going with Han Lee.
Sure.
You know, I, on the other hand, picked Scotty Wynn last week. He went out in 6th position.
Bombed out.
This week I picked Kathy Liebert. She's the first one to go. Vince, so far you're batting 1,000. My picks haven't been so good. Let's see how your man Han Lee does
Mark
today.
safe with the
Okay.
button.
Okay, Mark inherits the button. Stan will be the first to speak. And he
Stan
folds.
folds.
It's up to Mark on the button.
12,000.
And he comes in
Mark
for
raises to
12,000.
12,000.
Now he's raising in late
$1,000
position,
raise.
Vince.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting. He doesn't have much of a hand at all. It's just 6 and 7, so it's got a cold stone bluff.
And Han Lee folds.
Han Lee folds.
Time.
Chris called time. Normally when you call time, you're going to make a play here.
Look what Chris has. He's got Big Slick.
He's certainly probably going to raise the pot, just a matter of how much.
I'm going to raise it.
He raised.
He is going to re-raise.
He does raise.
25,000 more.
He raised it 25,000 more.
Called
Look
the
at the look on
12,000,
Mark's
re-raise
face.
25,000.
Aggravated that he got caught. Look at him.
He called the 4 and raised 8.
Now look at Mark.
That one. Then let me take this.
Just trying to check out Chris to see whether he can really do a bluff and re-raise or whether it's just worth just get the heck out, which he does.
Yeah.
And Mark
Now
folds.
he shows the ace-king. Now that's interesting. I mean, they already think he's a conservative player. Why do you want to convince him of it? Han Lee inherits the button. Chris in the small blind, Stan the big blind. And Mark will be the first to speak.
Now look at this. Mark has a real hand. He has Big Slick. And he's going to raise.
Raise
Raise it 12,000, make it 16 total.
You know, it's
Mark
interesting.
raises
This
it
Big Slick has come up a
12,000
lot
more,
after just a few
16,000.
hands today.
Ace-king's come up a lot today, but I guarantee you one thing. Kathy wishes she's never seen it today. Han Lee folds, Chris folds this time.
Chris
Now,
folds.
here's a hand that Mark's looking to get played with. He's raised a couple hands in a row. Now we're down to Stan, the big blind.
And Stan folds.
And he folds,
Ace king.
And Mark
and Mark shows the
ace-king.
ace-king. I don't think that's a good play.
If we're all going to get
The
it,
other
can we
hand,
stop here one?
he mucked his hand before Han Lee had a chance to say anything but raise. And this time, he showed his cards after a raise. You know, they may be able to pick up some information on this. So.
Well, you're right. That might not have been the greatest move, but at least Mark is still sitting there. He's still in the tournament. Whereas Kathy Liebert had ace-king earlier, but she ran up against a pair of queens. Second hand of the tournament, knocked out.
and our own Shauna Hyatt will take a closer look at the promise and the pitfalls of playing Big Slick Ace King.
Shauna?
Big Slick, a sweet treat or a sticky mess? Catch the deal on this edition of the WPT Poker Corner.
Most hands in poker play themselves. You toss the junk and ride your aces. It's the cards in between that separate winners from the pack and losers from their chips. And there's no better example of in between than the potential powerhouse known as Big Slick. No doubt the ace-king combination is a strong hand. The odds you'll hit the flop with top pair are nearly 1 in 3, and you're the favorite against any other non-paired hand. This is good. But remember, you're an underdog against every paired hand all the way down to deuces. All you've got is sweet potential. Big Slick is just good enough to go all in with, and just weak enough to bust you. This is bad. It's all in how you play Big Slick. When you raise, if you raise, who you chase off, and who comes back at you. If it all breaks right, Ace-King can be a blessing. If not, it can be a slippery slope. Remember, they don't call it Big Slick for nothing.
Well, the action is going to be on Chris. And look at that, Vince. He's got an ace high and he folds it.
Yeah, you know, four-handed, that's not that bad of a hand. I mean, this is the guy that bets hard with 3-5, and now he's folding with ace.
Stan folds. And now here's Mark with a 3-9 of spade. He calls. Hanley knocks the table. That means go ahead and give us a flop.
Now, he's only got a 4-7 in his hand. Both these guys have horrible hands, but you never know.
Here comes the flop. 6-6-8. This gives Hanley a gut shot straight draw. And Mark checks.
10,000.
And Hanley's betting 10,000. It's a nice bold bet by Hanley there.
Certainly is.
And Mark folds his hand.
Now, those people out there, they're saying, hey, wait a second. I read in the book you got to wait for the big hands. You know what? In this kind of game, you can throw the book out.
He gives himself a cheer. It's a nice bet there on the gut shot straight by Hanley. He picks up the pot.
I'm confident. I have to win today, you know. I feel good.
So aggressive play does pay off. Hanley's showing that.
Is that better?
Now, Mark's safe. Look at this. He's picked him up. The 2 bullets, the pocket rockets, the best hand in poker.
Oh, man. American Airlines. He's picked them up. Look, he's trying to act casual.
It comes in for 16,000.
But Hanley's got a pretty interesting hand, a 9-10 of hearts. He has no idea that Mark Safe has a pair of aces.
Well, he's on the button. He's in position. These are the kind of hands Hanley likes to play. He likes to take a flop with these hands. But let's see if he'll call 16,000 to do it. He does say I call.
That's a call, Hanley.
Okay, Chris is going to go out. This is going to be an interesting pot. Mark trying to look concerned, but I don't think he's that concerned at this point. He knows he has the best hand at this time.
And Stan, who's in the big blind, he still has an option to play this pot. And he folds.